Hey, it says some guy named Steve Hicks is going to be talking.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Yeah, you just informed me about the relationship.
That's your name.
That's my name.
And here it is in here.
Hopefully he's smart.
So you guys should be able to find it now.
Okay, so we're live on Jonathan's stuff? No?
Yeah, we're live on my thing.
So it's Jonathan's page, not the Facebook
Now
group.
he's live. Yep.
Oh,
Sweet.
Oh my
There
gosh.
it is.
That's me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's my bald spot.
Accurate at work.
And then anybody that didn't already turn your volume down, that's
Oh, yeah. All right, so we're going here.
oh yeah.
All right. I gotta be honest, I'm not in love with the 5-minute preset. Just people come in late and they're like, oh, a bunch of people are looking at the table. What's going on here?
Yeah. It's an experiment.
It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I personally like when SNL, they close and then they're all still chatting, but the camera's still rolling. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love like watching people interact. It's like, they know they're on camera, but the conversation
behind
is,
the curtain.
yeah, a little
Yeah.
behind, BTS, a little behind the scenes.
Could we have a musical guest?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes. Do you,
I will fall out of love with that Steven guy.
I'm gonna task you with that. Like,
Oh no.
but, like each week too, right? Like different musical guests each week.
I rescind my.
No one's ever gonna bring ideas anymore because I'm just like, yep, go do it.
That's the best way to do it, though. Everyone always wants to bring challenges. They don't often bring aid.
That is true across all industries and non-industry. That's, in fact, I have a whole school of thought on that.
Be sure to like your own comment and like everyone's comment.
Yes.
Right, who's gonna be the first to comment?
Oh, dude, I think 5 of us already.
Yeah, there's already a bunch of comments.
I even got a share on it. Look at that for engagement.
Oh, share, yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, there's no comments on this one.
Oh, that's
Maybe it's 'cause
weird.
I'm on Jonathan's page instead of.
No, that's where I was.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wonder if I can.
I do think
iPad,
well, this is
iPad.
weird. Like now I'm clicking on it, I'm seeing like this weather.
Oh, you might have scrolled on accident.
I did, but now I can't get back to ours. Like if I click see live video, it just goes straight to that feed.
Oh, bummer.
I think I gotta start over.
Facebook, sometimes their videos don't get a little wonky.
Well,
Like I keep getting like people will DM me like, check out this reel, it's so funny. And then I click and it just will not show. Refuses.
really
I clicked like 17 times. It's always just random videos popping up. It was like, I'm sure you sent me something funny, but I don't know what it was.
No. All
I
right.
appreciate you anyway.
Yeah. Thanks for thinking of me.
I'm literally force stopping Facebook to try to fix this. All right, Mike, you're up.
Nice.
Lights, camera, action. We're back for your satisfaction from Action Business Furniture Studios is where it's happening. We have a special guest star appearance today from Steven Hicks. Get your fitness kicks with Steven Hicks. Oh my God. And last but not least, your host, Jonathan Byron. Take it away, John.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Steven, thank you for being here. We'll hear from you in a minute. Super excited to have you on. Hello, everybody in YouTube, Facebook land. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a great table and a great guest today. I'm super excited about this conversation. Let's kick things off with some introductions. Heidi, can you tell us who you are and what's going on in your world?
So I'm Heidi Simmons, and I guide moms to raise confident, resilient, independent individuals. And one of the things that is missing in life with like parents and kids is connection. I just realized that parents raising kids that are under 15, they have not experienced parenting without smartphones and screens and social media. And so it's really easy to just pass over a phone. So anyway, I've got a workshop coming up on May 10th, and I will be helping moms working on connecting with their kids instead of just handing them a screen. So join me on May 10th, and the information is in the comments.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome.
All right, Rob Bruder with IDIC Designs. You know, every year thousands of small businesses are purchasing various software and systems to try to grow their businesses, and many of those dollars get wasted because they never end up using it. And my responsibility and purpose in life is to help them better use technology so that they can grow and thrive as business owners.
Excellent. Welcome.
Excellent, excellent. When is your
May 10th
May 10th where?
at South Hill Library.
South Hill Library, not?
Yes, at 2 p.m.,
No,
2:15 p.m.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dave Ribble, and I have a company called Stand Out Marketing Strategies, and we also have a coaching program called Stand Out Mastery Personal Development. The 24th of May will be at Shadle Library for another free workshop. 20th of September, we're going to do the summit again. That was highly successful last Saturday. Rob was there, John was there, Heidi was there, and Steve was going to be. But
You got called out.
hey, it sprung from my mouth to say that. I don't know why.
That's the housekeeping rules.
Anyway, hope you can all make it. Hope you investigate Stand Out Mastery, because it's already helping a lot of people. And if you're feeling a nudge that one of these days you want to take that kind of coaching and training, why wait? That's what I got to say. Now I'm going to pass it over to Zane.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dave.
Well, yeah, and why wait? Why wait to have your phone calls answered? That's what ZebraGo is here for. If you provide your services to someone, not at your location, if you're going to your customer, you're busy doing your work. We answer the calls, get them on the schedule, so you can just do what you started your business for. So we'd love to help you out.
Fantastic. I'm going to jump in there because Daniel Bruce already commented, and he says Steven Hicks is great, like 99% amazing, but he doesn't listen to voice messages on Facebook Messenger. That takes away 1%. So maybe ZebraGo is for some of those people out there that don't have time to
I don't
listen
think
to.
maybe. I think we have a use case.
Yeah.
We can put ZebraGo on the testing block to see if that helps with the voice messages. But yeah,
You are so busted. Today you are busted.
360-degree bump.
getting called out left and
I
right.
didn't tell Steven this was a roast.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm Steven. I don't listen to voice messages, but I do support and encourage people to live at their very best. I'm not going to go into details about that. We're actually talking today, so
Yes.
I'm going to just kick it over to Lisa.
Thank you. I'm Lisa Miller. I am an arbitrator, private judge, administrative hearing officer, and I'm here with the Legal Minute. I'm going to be talking about gun regulation today. A decision came down from the U.S. Supreme Court in March. It's very new. And the ATF said we can regulate ghost guns, and the gun manufacturing industry said we don't think so. And the trial court agreed, and then the Circuit Court of Appeal agreed. And then it went up to the U.S. Supremes. We've all heard a lot from the administration about how it's going to dismantle the administrative state. And all of us in small business are really feeling the restrictions of the administrative state and are looking forward to being unburdened, except it's not going to happen on regulating ghost guns because the Supreme Court said the ATF can and now is regulating ghost guns. If you are dealing with ghost guns, you now have all the requirements that all the other firearms carry: tracking, paperwork, licensure, serial numbers, everything that ghost guns were sort of next to are now included in. And the ATF won, the administrative state expanded, the Supreme Court landed squarely in the ATF's corner. So, Legal Minute. Thank
All
you
right.
for sharing the dais with me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa Miller.
How long
Fantastic.
was that?
That was a minute. No, that was like
Seconds.
I didn't have like the seconds going, but like it was 3:05 when you started and it's 3:06. So
Oh.
nailed it.
Got it, got it.
I'll do the high five on that one.
High five, everyone at home.
Mike? We never know what we're gonna get when Mike introduces himself.
Smell it, Steven. Smell it, it's good. It's a quarter pounder with cheese. Look how delicious this is, everyone. I want you guys to know that today's sponsor is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving them dividends. Let's look at this amazing burger. Look at it. Look at the cheese. Look at the sesame seed bun. Look at the onions. Look at how they did it. You just want to... McDonald's.
Every once in a while, I feel the need to, oh, go ahead, yeah, tell them about your AI.
Spokane AI mixer. On the 31st, end of the month, 6 to 9, steam plant. Hope to see you there.
Every time Mike gets up, I feel the need to disclaim, this episode is not brought to you by McDonald's. We are neither endorsed by them, nor do we endorse them, other than,
Yeah, we definitely go with Five Guys.
yeah. The other burger chain there. All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm John Byron. I sell real estate for a living and I enjoy bringing people together, and this is one expression of that. So thank you all for being here. Steven, I'm super excited. I posted a few different places and a few different things, but genuinely, I always look forward to a conversation with you. Your perspective, we talked before about you being the loud American. We won't, maybe we'll dive into what that means at some point, but I love your approach to looking at things and your willingness to call things how they are.
Mhm.
So I'm going to let you kick things off. Tell us, what do you see in fitness, or what is it that you want us to be kind of tune our attention to a little bit in this space?
Yeah, so I don't want this to be about my ideas. I don't know. I might be a bit of an asshole if I'm honest. Whenever I come to these like speaking engagements and I'm in the audience, I always find myself wondering, and hopefully I'm not the only one, but I always wonder like, why am I here? Like why is this worth the next 30, 60 minutes? And I don't know if anyone else does that or if you just show up willy-nilly. But I want to make sure that this is about you and some value that you can get and some benefits. So what I'm hoping to do today is really for Spokane small business and entrepreneurs. So I want to give a business growth hack that I picked up from Jay Abraham. And I want to, one, you can apply that to grow your business, which is massively valuable, but I also want to apply it to health and wellness, my area of expertise. And hopefully with that, make health and wellness easy and reasonable, because when your wellness improves, you have more energy, you have higher executive functions, creativity in your brain, you're able to manage stress better, which is gonna happen in business. You're gonna get some stress moments, which means ultimately with this tactic, we should be able to directly and indirectly grow business today. Now, just like I'm the one that's always wondering like if it's worth sticking around and listening to. Does that seem worth listening to you guys? And I'm sure there's online comments. Jonathan will let me know if people want me to shut up. But that's what I'm going to try to do. And I want to try to do this in 30 minutes because I prefer the roundtable discussions instead of the lectures. But like I mentioned, there's this business growth theory that got popularized by Jay Abraham. If you're not familiar with Jay Abraham, he's been called like the wizard of marketing. He's consulted for pretty much all of the Fortune 100 companies. He's Tony Robbins' personal business coach. The dude knows some stuff about business. And what he really tries to do is this method called the 10-10-10 method. And just for illustrative purposes, like I like hamburgers. I like cheeseburgers, maybe not the McBurgers. I prefer something with a little bit more flavor and doesn't make you feel yucky afterwards. God, I should be careful. Hopefully McDonald's isn't watching this one. That's a big trouble.
Controversy, controversy,
Anyway, we do have I've
That's
got legal
marketing,
help here
right?
to my left.
So
Anyway,
what's the 10-10-10, Steve?
the 10-10-10 is a way to avoid legal troubles. No, the 10-10-10 system is, if we were to make like a burger shack, something that's like a little pop-up, a cabin thing, and let's say that we do a weekend burger stand at like farmer markets, and we're not really great at it, but we have 10 consistent customers that come to us about 10 times a year, and they're buying our $10 burger. That means our burger stand is worth $1,000, right? 10 times 10 times 10. And most often business owners and entrepreneurs, they want to double their business. And when you want to double your business, what is the path that you take? Like if you wanted to double your business, how would you make twice as much money?
Well, I don't know. I would probably look at cutting costs, or I would look at somehow getting twice as many, 3 times as many people in there.
Yeah, so that's
a lot of ways to do
probably
it.
one of the most common answers is try to get twice as many people in there. Smart with trying to cut down the cost as well, but the most common answer is to double customers. And it works. If you have 20 customers that buy $10 burgers 10 times a year, you now have a $2,000 burger stand. But the problem with that method is you now have increased cost of goods sold. You have to have more patties, more buns. You have to increase your labor costs because now you're serving twice as much, making twice as many burgers. You have to find twice as many people, which means your advertising costs go up. You have to store the food somewhere, so your footprint grows. You have more overhead. You have more insurance. You do get twice as much money, but your margins go down so quickly that it's a lot more effort and not a lot more reward. And so you're working hard and you're not getting anything for it. And this is what leads to burnout. Spoiler alert, it's going to come back to fitness. This is what causes people to burn out in fitness as well. But what Jay Abraham recommends, instead of going all in on one category, getting a 100% increase in customers, what if you had a small increase holistically? What if you had 13 customers instead of 20, 13, and you opened up on the holidays and invite people in on their birthdays, so now they're buying 13 times a year, and you've introduced some special limited edition sauces, some special burgers, so now your burgers are worth $13, right? Now, this one's not as easy math, 13 times 13 times 13. Rob's an egghead, maybe he can do that in his head, but I'll do the math for you. That ends up being, oh, Jonathan's got a phone.
2,197, Steven Hicks.
Yes, it is. With smaller increases across the board, it's more money overall, $2,197, but you have larger margins, right? You don't have as many expenses, so you're not working as hard. You get more total rewards, more profit on less effort, which means you get to enjoy the work that you do. That's not how you burn out. That's how you have fulfillment. And Jay Abraham can do this in business because there's 3 ways to grow business. You can have more transactions, you can have more clients, or you can have more transaction value. He's a little limited though in business. Business only has 3 levers. Me, I have the advantage with health and wellness. There's 6 levers that I get to pull on. And this is one of the things that have helped my fitness program be so massively successful is when we have 6 levers. And I coach in my wellness program along mindset because it's wild. If you want to know my favorite study in all of health sciences is mindset over milkshake. But if you're curious, go ahead and DM me and I'll send you info about it. But one of the things is we know that psychology will change your physiology, right? So mindset's important. Activity, obvious. Every personal trainer and their dog's teaching you how to exercise for good reason, right? Nutrition, absolutely important. That's the building blocks of health. Sleep is an unsung hero, but every biological function is impacted by sleep, either improved by getting good sleep or demonstratively impaired by the lack of sleep. And so if we can improve sleep, it improves everything else in the wheel. Stress management, you've probably heard stress and cortisol. Stress will change your physiology as well. And then finally, supportive accountability, right? Because we're social creatures, when we have that community, everything gets enhanced. So by looking at those 6 areas on a holistic fashion, I've got 6 lever points, right? With 3, Jay Abraham has to get a 30% increase across the board to double the outcomes. But with 6 lever points, I won't take you back to 7th grade math and do the geometric graphing, but with 6 lever points, all I need is an 11% improvement in those areas for my clients to double their outcomes, which is way more reasonable to get an 11% increase. Other personal trainers, because they only have one lever, because they're only doing the exercise, they have to kick your ass, and it hurts and it burns, and it's a big effort with little return sometimes. In my program, and this isn't my words, I think Data Mining Mike can probably put the YouTube link somewhere in the comment section, but on my YouTube channel, I think it's the 2nd most recent video, Amanda did an interview with me, one of my clients, and she said that this was, in the 12 weeks she worked with me, she lost about 14, 15 pounds while saying it was the easiest program she's ever done. It's because we have so many lever points, we have that multiplying effect. So Jay Abraham's 10-10-10 system to grow business, we can also apply in fitness and wellness with 6 lever points to easily have more energy and be more reasonable. And I think there's some examples. Rob's sitting across from me. I know for a fact one of his strength workouts, we got a strength workout that's about 9 minutes, right? And when you think about that, that strength workout probably not going to get him drafted in the NFL. But when we pair this with the improvements being made in nutrition, improvements in sleep, that 9-minute workout, it does make an impact. It does make a difference. And I'm really excited about that. I think it's almost like a cheat code. Since I don't need people to be perfect, I just need 11%. It's like almost impossible to lose using kind of my thriving body method. But just to tie this back in, we had the 10-10-10 system. We can apply that to a holistic fashion in health and wellness, make an easier, more realistic and reasonable, sustainable, I don't know how many ables I'm going to get in one sentence, but a more sustainable approach that just makes you feel amazing every single day with smaller, sensible efforts. Yeah. So that's the hack I wanted to share in a nutshell, right? I don't want to be a giant lecturer, take 60 minutes to go on this. I can. I know Dave was in the room and so was Rob in the room. I gave like a 3-hour seminar a couple months ago. So I can. If you guys have questions, we'll go. We can roundhouse, but I'd rather kind of do a little bit of a round table. Dave, you got a question?
I don't know, John, do I have permission to ask him a question?
Steve called on you, Dave. You're good.
Oh, okay. No, an observation that, I mean, I love this whole thing about the 6 lever, the thriving body. One of the other things that occurs to me is in my advanced age, being dormant and doing a normal exercise kind of a routine, I am more prone to injury if I push it. And the 11% sounds like a really good idea for somebody who hasn't been working out for a long time and then all of a sudden decides to get back in. And we all have a tendency, I think, most of us have a tendency, at least I used to, I want to hurry it up after I commit to it.
Yeah.
And if I hurry it up, I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah. So that's a great point. When I start with exercise plans with my clients, I usually have to give them a disclaimer and let them know, like, hey, I know you think workouts are hard. You're going to finish the first workout and wonder where the rest of it is. And I do think that people should start significantly smaller efforts. One, you don't want to feel like crap afterwards. You should feel better after workouts. And if you still have energy at the end, hey, we're in a good spot. So start small. My intro workouts, the first couple weeks, usually just have 2 sets of 6 exercises. So not asking a ton. Then we go to 3 sets, then we start to do some supersets and we start to pair stuff. We do advance and progress. But I think one of the big challenges we have is we do try to be an athlete on day 1, and then people get hurt, they get burnt out. Like we were mentioning, when you do 100% in one category, you don't get a lot of rewards, but you do get a lot of effort, and it leads to burnout.
I have a ton of really good basketball moves that seem to have disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense because you're an Indiana boy, right?
Now, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be a Hoosier down in that country. You gotta have basketball skills, but sometimes it doesn't carry over to wellness, right? We do need a different path. We do need something that's a lot more reasonable. And shameless self-plug, I do have an ebook for like your first starting workout plan. I sell that online for $25. If you're curious, you can email me. It's got a really realistic starting point for people to start to get into exercise, but more importantly, the first half of it just kind of breaks down the different variables in workout programs, strength versus cardio, frequency, how to make adjustments, how to make progressions. That way, even though you're on your own, you can still personalize it to fit where you're at and where you're going. So if you're interested in that ebook, drop me a line.
And they know where to find you.
What was that? No, I don't have it on Amazon. I don't have it published right now. It's just an ebook that I send. And so I do need to work a little bit better. Maybe Rich Lane, if he's watching this, can help me set that up with Lane's Brain, set up a page on my site. But right now it's just kind of an email process.
All right, so message Steve directly for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, this ties in a little bit, and I don't know how this is going to shape into a question necessarily, but maybe just a pivot. Gay, Dave's wife, is tuning in,
Nice.
and she commented that she's doing it while walking.
Nice.
Right? So like that, and then Zane and I actually had a meeting yesterday, and we were at a coffee shop, and I'm quite caffeinated, and I asked him if he was getting anything. He's like, I'm good. And, starting to get into the afternoon, and I was like, you want to just walk? And so we literally, our meeting was a walking meeting through the campus of Gonzaga, which I didn't run into Rob, but we might have.
Should have let me know. I'm walking on campus regularly.
And so like that one, I don't know, that seems like a really easy, obvious one that my wife and I, we try to go on walks together. It's a great way to combine a date and some extras, all that.
And I've seen you guys on the bluff.
We've run into each other several times. Yeah.
I like to read on his walking path.
I think one time I took a really zoomed in picture of you from far away and then texted it to you.
Yeah.
A little creepy stalker picture. But so that one's like maybe an obvious, easy one. And hopefully there's somebody that was like, oh, I could do that on my lunch break or whatever. But what are some other things that you have found somewhat consistently with your clients that maybe universally we could be like, oh, I could do that?
Yeah. So one of the easiest places I think to start is there's this concept in psychology called habit stacking. To get to that 11% thing, if we look at the average American's daily step counts, right? Most people have those smart watches or whatever. You can have apps on your phone. The average American that works in an office gets about 3,500 steps a day. The fitness industry has a standard of 10,000 steps, right? There's a bit of a disparity there, right? And normally when people start fitness programs, they hear about the step goal. They think 10,000 is where they need to go first. And that's tripling your steps. It's a lot of effort. It's feasible. People do it, but it's not necessarily reasonable. It's a big effort that you're not probably ready for. 11%, right? Well, let's make 10 because it's easier math. 3,500 steps, 10% of that's just 350 steps, which is, probably 4 minutes. What I usually recommend people, if you're trying to get that extra 400, when you leave the office, before you get in the car, just walk around the building. Depending on the size of the building, maybe twice. But you do that, that's going to add to more steps. That's going to get you 10% more than where you were in the past. Which is moving you forward. And I'm really deliberate in my program. It's not about perfect, it's about forward. Now, of course, if we're being honest, if you walked around a building 2 times a day, you're not going to lose weight. This is where the 10-10-10 system comes in. If you do 10% on improvement on activity, and then you get something 10% better on nutrition, which is maybe just like, make sure each meal, when you have a meal each day, make sure that there's, fruits and vegetables involved somehow, right? That could be a 10% improvement on nutrition, and then 10% improvement on sleep. You know, most of us tend to go to sleep around 11 or 11:30 to 1:30, wake up around 6 to 7, and wonder, why wasn't there 8 hours between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock? Why did this not work? As if math doesn't exist. So the 10% could just be setting an alarm clock to go to sleep, not just an alarm clock to wake up. One's like, hey, Netflix time could be over. Just a little nudge. Doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to respond immediately, but just kind of think about bedtime. That could be a 10% improvement there. And then, yeah, we've got other things that you can do, small little baby steps to get started and to get momentum. And yeah, as on their own, not magnificent, not earth shattering, but if you get that holistic combination, they add up, they multiply across, and they make a greater effect.
Can you, just as we're going, can you say the 6 things again?
Yeah. So I'm going to break this down first. Really, the 6 categories fall into 3 things. There's 3 things I'm trying to accomplish. I want to have the right signals for health and fitness. I want to have the right environment for health and fitness, and I want to have the right building blocks for health and fitness. So the right signals, we get that through mindset and through activity. The right environment, we get that with sleep, stress management, and community. And then the right building blocks, we get that through nutrition. So those 6 fall into those kind of 3 overarching categories.
I was trying to type it, so can you say the right signals again?
You're good. So the right signals come through mindset and activity. The right environment, we're going to get that through sleep. Sleep controls your cellular environment, so does stress management, and then supportive community as well. And then finally, the building blocks, really obvious: food, nutrition.
Go back to mindset for a little bit. Just expand the mindset.
Okay. I got really excited. That was weird. Before we do that, because there's 2 ways we can do this. I can try to define what mindset is and what we do for mindset, or we can talk about why. Why mindset? Which one would you be more interested in?
Rewards.
The rewards? Okay. So I think the rewards of mindset is really it can alter both your biochemistry and your automatic behaviors. So with the biochemistry, I told you guys I got my favorite, I think that's why I popped up in my seat. My favorite research study in all of health sciences is the Mindset over Milkshake study by Dr. Aaliyah Crum. What she did, I love milkshakes, not McDonald's milkshakes, but milkshakes are good in general. Nobody share this with the CEOs. Yeah, okay.
They need to hear this.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a cease and desist letter by the end of the week.
Mike's gonna get me in trouble here. No, so milkshakes. What Dr. Aaliyah Crum did was she brought people in and then she split them into a high-calorie milkshake or a low-calorie milkshake group, right? And then she would let them be in the room, read the labels, and I think they were labeled something like the high-calorie was like your decadent deliciousness you deserve. And then like the low-calorie milkshake, like 130 calories, was like innocent indulgences or something. I don't know. But you got to read the labels and then drink the milkshakes. And then she would take a blood sample, right? To kind of see how you responded to the milkshake. She brought everyone back in. God, what a saint of a woman. She brought everyone back in, gave them the opposite milkshake. So if you were doing the high calorie milkshake, you now got the low calorie milkshake. Again, read the labels, see if it's the 630 calorie milkshake or the 130 calorie milkshake. You drank the other milkshake, and then she did a blood sample again so that she can compare everybody's response to high calorie versus low calorie. And very reasonably, she found that the high calorie milkshake had lower ghrelin levels. Ghrelin is your hormone that triggers hunger and appetite. So when you're like after Thanksgiving, you eat a ton of food, no ghrelin, body empty, right? Does not want more food. Which makes sense. So if you have the high calorie milkshake, you shouldn't feel hungry. The low calorie milkshake, they got hungry sooner because their ghrelin levels were higher. So they ate again sooner. They consumed more calories later. I might have misled you a little bit earlier. I said Dr. Aaliyah Crum was a saintly woman for giving out free milkshake. She's a rascal. She's a liar and a scoundrel. She lied to the participants. They were the same exact milkshake. There was no physical difference. She changed the label, and our biochemistry changed because the mental environment changed.
There you go.
And so, and we've seen this in a ton of different ways with placebo pills as well. When you change someone's mental environment, their body changes. And we can see this in exercise all the time. If you've ever seen people like with boot camp classes, right? Boot camp classes, someone's going to come out of that class with a smile. They're in great shape. They're having the time of their life. That was the best thing they could have done for themselves. And then the second half of the class comes out and they're dragging and they're hating and they're miserable and they think they're just ragged and tired and they're talking to themselves and they're just thinking about how terrible that was and they can't believe they have to do that. And that back half of the class never seems to get results, right? Have you ever seen someone that works really hard at fitness and never seems to get fitness results? It's not the activity itself. They're in the same class, but it's that mental environment in which they came to it. It changes. We've done research on this as well. Voluntary versus forced exercise has different biochemical markers afterwards. If you're going into something with a positive mindset, you're going to get those adaptive chemicals.
That's it. You're going into it with a certain mindset.
Yeah. So when we do mindset coaching and mindset training in the program, it alters the way that you approach everything else. It alters the way that we approach exercise. It alters nutrition, as we saw with the milkshake study. It will also, you were in the program or you were in the seminar, so you know about the autonomic nervous system and sleep.
Yeah.
It affects your ability to fall asleep, which affects whether you're restful or whether you wake up tired.
Doesn't it also affect other aspects of your life?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You feel like a failure or you feel like you can accomplish anything.
Yeah, so so that is the second half, right? So we mentioned it will change your biochemistry, which alters your physical body ultimately and changes your results. It also changes your subconscious or your automatic behaviors, right? With a positive mindset, you're more likely to try to do healthy habits, right? Because it's kind of enjoyable. When you have stinking thinking, man, it's just kind of dreadful and you probably will skip it. Right, so psychology also affects our behaviors as well. Mindset is definitely a two-edged sword, and there's stuff we do. Mindset's a really popular topic right now, and there's a lot of self-help gurus that just kind of yell about being a Spartan. I don't really want to do that. Was there a question? Okay, I saw you scrolling.
I'm chuckling because Matt Conrath said I could listen to Steven talk all day. Voice so soothing. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, when we were talking about easy math, you pulled out the phone. Matt Conrath's CPA, he could have probably done the 13 times 13 times 13. And if you can't, don't tell on yourself in the comments. Anyway. No, so it alters the behavior, but mindset's not about just kind of Spartan stoicness, right? I think that mindset is best, it's best handled, there's a few things, but I think it's best handled through psycho-cybernetics, which is a really fascinating concept. It was put forth by a plastic surgeon in the 1960s. What he found was when he was doing plastic surgery, he was straight up physically changing the way people looked, objectively undeniable. And yet, some of his patients would come back and still think they look like a monster. And you would have the photos. You'd be like, no, your nose is smaller. Stop saying that it's a honkadora. Like, you gotta let go of that. But they couldn't, right? And he was really fascinated with that. And then he was also fascinated with sometimes, like, he was in the California area, and there were some salesmen would get plastic surgery to feel more confident when they went cold calling or when they went door knocking. And he found that, like, sometimes after plastic surgery, some of these salespeople, their numbers like doubled, tripled, quadrupled. And it was just, they had more confidence, right? And so he was really perplexed by this and really explored and came up with psycho-cybernetics, which is our minds have this self-image of how we view ourselves, right? This how we view ourselves, and everything we do in life kind of tries to conform to that self-image. And it's kind of like the thermostat in your house, right? If you set the thermostat, today's a toasty day, we might have to turn on the AC. But if you set the thermostat to 67 degrees, in the room, it gets hot, it's toasty out there. If it gets up to 72, that thermostat's gonna monitor, see that off in the background, and then course correct. Turn on the AC, turn off the heater, or whatever it has to do to bring the temperatures down, and then it keeps monitoring in the background. When the temperatures get down to 65, it goes, oh, no, that's a mistake. We gotta get back to we gotta course correct. Our minds do the same thing with our self-image. We have this idea of who we are, and anytime we do behaviors, like if we go on a diet, if we think that we're a fat, slobbish person and we go on a diet, that's skinny person behavior. Your psycho-cybernetics is going, bullshit. I'm gonna go get a donut later. And this is one of the root causes of a lot of self-sabotage. And so in the coaching program, we talk about that. How do we set the thermostat? How do we change that self-image? And then how do we protect the self-image as well? Mindset's awesome. And it's really wild when you consider the biochemical changes that it can have. And that is, I think that's really one of the big game changers is with Thriving Body Method, the Thriving Body Holistic program. There's a reason my logo is goofy, right? A little cartoon character. I want to set that environment that people are going to have more energy, that they're going to be buoyant, they're going to be bouncy and bright and happy. When we set that expectation, when we set that self-image, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I almost don't even have to coach people. They'll just do it themselves, and it's awesome. It's a cheat code. It's so easy to win in my job. I don't know why trainers struggle.
We've always thought of you as bouncy and bright.
Yeah.
Just a happy guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a great question. Zane, you had a question?
Yeah, so I was just thinking, and you're talking about mindset, and a lot of us are, well, all of us are in the business realm, right? And so I was thinking, as you're talking about, okay, you make, based on how you feel about something, it's making changes in your body.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, sometimes there's a task in my business and I hate it, and my results reflect that. So I was curious if there's anything, maybe in your own business or any other studies you found that reflect that, our mindsets and towards the tasks that we physically do. Obviously, they might not change us. It might not be due to our physical changes in our body, but how does our mindset affect other aspects?
Yeah, I don't know of a good study on that concept there, but it is like our mindset towards stuff does become like that self-fulfilling prophecy. Like Henry Ford's got the quote or misquote, whatever it happens to be, of whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. I know there's got to be some study that I don't know about that's had like the positive reframes and how that alters stuff, but I've just got a bunch of anecdotes for you on this one, not empiricism. I should probably read more psych journals. No, but it really is when we can truthfully and authentically change kind of what we say to ourselves is direction. It's directional, right? We give ourselves orders and operations and instructions all the time. And if you can just change that pattern, it changes the outcome. There is a lot of times when we dread stuff and you're not going to go into it with full energy. You're going to kind of half-ass that. And of course, if you half-ass something, you're getting half-ass results, right?
But we know you're sidestepping here. We know change your physiology and you change your state.
Yeah. So that is another thing too. Rob and I both did a Tony Robbins workshop a couple of months ago, and that is Tony Robbins' big thing. His big thing is on state, right? If you're in a high energy state, hey, you're going to show up differently, completely differently. You're going to show up, you're going to act differently, and you're going to get different results. That is, I don't know if that was a sidestep. That feels like a different path, but that's something that I've been working with a couple clients on as well recently. Is just life is life can be hard sometimes. Life can throw curveballs. Outside of the business, just personally, life can throw curveballs, and sometimes people get stuck. They just kind of sit and they feel stuck. They're not sure what to do. And what ends up happening is when you're in this stuck mental state, your posture gets stuck, like you're physically stuck in the mud too. And when you're in this low state, it just kind of snowballs, doesn't it? And we get lower and lower, and then we get more hopeless and more hopeless. And I do really appreciate that. It's really easy to change your body's position, right? Hard to change your feelings and emotions, but at any time, like Dave, you're sitting there, can you slouch? Boom, in an instant. Can you get tall?
Sure.
In an instant. And there are differences, right? When we're in a tall position, we have more energy. We're a little bit more picked up. When we're slouched, like you're going to slow down if you stay here, right? And physiology can also impact psychology. Psychology impacts physiology. They're bidirectional. All 6 of these categories that we talk about with holistic fitness, they're bidirectional and multidirectional. And I hate that we always think of the body as a machine. I think of the body as more of an ecosystem. There's a whole lot of interplay between all of the species in your body.
I like that, and that's where my mind has been going. I wanted to figure out a way to segue, and I think Rob did a great job of just kind of introducing the sidestep, because it's very contradictory. You hear one person saying like, it's all psychology, change your mindset, and then other people saying you can't change your mindset without getting active, and it's like, well, if I get active, but I'm doing it for the wrong reasons, or I don't have the right attitude, then it's not going to work. And so like that, and I think that's where you started with all of this, the micro habits, like make one small change. Like, so you guys were talking about that. I'm like, all right, I was slouching a little bit, all right, And
don't you feel different?
I do.
Like it's such a silly thing, but it doesn't take much. And if I can get nothing else across today, it's that it doesn't take much. I think a lot of people try to go do the 100% improvements and they get burnt out. It really doesn't take much. As long as you try to take care of yourself in a few different ways, they add up.
Now, a word you used when we were dialoguing about today is sustainable. And so here's my question, right? Because like I can easily, straighten up or go for a walk. Like those things are pretty easy, and I do. And then how do you like get the 11% the next day or the next week? And because that's as long as I can remember, I'm either I'm going to do 100 push-ups a day and I'm going to start today, or I'm going to do 1 push-up today and then tomorrow I'll do 2 push-ups. Neither one has worked for me. I just like so how do we make this a sustainable thing where it's like micro habits? If I'm going from 0 couch to 5K, whatever, like if my existence is Netflix, work on my computer, it's pretty easy to take that small step to like get a little bit active. But from there, where do we go?
So I'm gonna get back to that question. I think it's a great question, and you asked the right person. I'm gonna brag about myself. When it comes to sustainability, I don't think there's a fitness professional that's better at it. And the reason I say that is I was giving a presentation last month, and to prepare for it, I reached out to my launch clients. I started online in 2019, and I reached out to see where they're at now, 2025, and 72% of them have maintained weight loss of 50 pounds or greater.
Wow.
Even though they've been on their own for the last 5 years.
Good.
That result's unheard of in fitness. So how do we make it sustainable? I think what's been really successful in my clients is we talked about the psycho-cybernetics concept, the self-image. Another concept is just shifting the purpose. A lot of people do exercise and healthy habits because they should, right? And they should all over themselves, right? And they're just covered in should.
Good phrasing. Good phrasing.
Yeah, and it's just.
I am stealing that. That's great.
Take it. I stole it from someone else.
You just shit all over yourself.
And it becomes like this miserable chore that you have to do. There's no enjoyment to it, and there becomes this emotional friction, right? This resistance. And once there's resistance, you're dead. What we do in the program is we dive into people's deeper, true goals, right? A lot of people come to me, hey, I want to lose weight. Nobody wants to lose weight. What does 10 pounds mean? Doesn't mean shit. Or should. It doesn't mean should. But when we can dive into people's true goals, like we talked about Amanda's testimonial, I don't know if that made it into the comments, but when we were working with Amanda, she had a 3-year-old son, lived about a block away from a city park, and every time her little boy wanted to go to the park, she said no. They couldn't. It's not because they didn't have the time. It's not because it was too far away. Just Amanda was too tired. After work, she was on the couch. She was done, right? And that she didn't appreciate. She didn't like that reality. So when she said she wanted to lose weight, she really just wanted to have the energy to show up for her kids. When we find out what people's real goals are, right? It changes the should. It changes it into a want. I want to accomplish this. I want to have the energy. I want to look better for my partner. I mean, there's a million reasons, right? I want to be able to, my big why was after my knee operation, those that have known, I won't post photo for Matt Cronrath's benefit. He always gets queasy. But I shattered, I had knee reconstruction surgery. And a big part of my reasons of staying in fitness and approaching was I wanted to be able to be the fun uncle. I'm the world's best uncle, right? I got a great story of my nephew calling me fun instead of uncle. He's like, where's fun? And he was asking where I went. It was great. But I wanted to be able to play with my nephews again. Like, they're now 12-year-old boys. At the time, they were like 7 and 8. So rough housing, wrestling, bad knee, not good for that. I wanted to fix my knee so that I could do things. When we figure out why you want to, instead of just should, it becomes more enjoyable. I mean, you could say this right now, like, think about like paying your electric bill, right? You should, you need to, right? Everyone kind of dreads paying bills. But if you think about that electric bill, I don't know your hobbies at home. Me, I know me. I love food, so my fridge, I want to make sure my food doesn't spoil. I do enjoy video games. That runs on electricity. I have an online business. I have to connect to the internet. That takes electricity. When I think about all the parts of my day-to-day life that I enjoy, I want to pay that electric bill because I don't want that taken away, right? So you can say, hey, I have to pay the electric bill. It's kind of miserable. And then you can say, hey, I want to pay my electric bill before they shut it off. There's a little bit of an excitement there, right? And it kind of compels people into the behavior. So changing the self-image, changing the shoulds to wants, and then also people really suck at celebrating themselves. They expect to be happy when they've lost 50 pounds. And the reality is you should be happy the moment you finish that workout. Because if you're doing it right, you feel better. And that's worth being happy about, right? Feeling better. Most people that are like religiously consistent on morning workouts, they don't realize it, but they reward themselves every day. You just ask them like, what do you think of the shower that comes in after the workout? And they will like melt. Like a hot shower after a morning workout is just awesome. Like, and it's a subtle reward. Now they're working out just because there's another rush to feel good. So shrinking, in big word salad. For sustainability, it's changing that self-image so that behaviors become more automatic. It's changing the shoulds to wants so that you're compelled to do them. And then finally, it's celebrating and getting the benefit from the action itself instead of the long-term results. Don't wait 3 months to be happy. Be happy when you do it.
I have another question. Is that okay, John?
Yes.
What do you think of the ice phenomenon, ice baths and things like that?
The cold plunges?
Yeah, the cold plunges.
It depends on why you're doing them. There's a lot of misinformation and misused information around that space. It can be exhilarating for sure. And there's potential that there's some long-term health benefits to it as well. Sometimes it's put forth as like a recovery tool, and research doesn't back that one up. But it's a great way to wake up. You will be alert afterwards. We talked about changing physiology. Man, you get in a cold bath, it's different. It's a great way to kind of feel refreshed. It can be, we talked about rewards. People get out of there and there's a reward to that for some people. Not for me. I get a histamine reaction and I get angry. I don't love it. And then
So it's not for everybody.
it's not for everybody. It's not as great as people want it to be. It could give you like a little 2% boost on overall health, maybe for people that are already high performers. But if you're doing it for recovery, it might actually impair that. So I probably wouldn't do a workout and jump into a cold plunge. It's probably gonna impede. In fact, in physical therapy and in a lot of the healing modalities, we're getting away from ice as a response to injury as well. The original doctor that came up with that has been very vocal and says, hey, the research isn't backing this up anymore. We need to take ice out. As an acute response to injury, it can be a good pain management, but it's going to impede your long-term healing if you ice consistently as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you've heard of RICE, the rest, ice, compression, and elevation model, they've retooled that to be rest, immobilization, compression, and elevation.
Wow.
And so, yeah, icing right after an injury helps with pain management. That's definitely beneficial for sure. But I don't think it's a long-term thing. Unless you're doing it just because it's a mindset thing and you feel like a David Goggins afterwards and you just feel more badass and you like it, great. I don't think it's a necessity, and I don't think it's as amazing as people want it to be.
I thought I'd revisit the sustainability a little bit because I want to, identify another thing to deal with resistance because we have this resistance that we've been doing. So working with Steven, he's been wanting me to do these exercises, the resistance. And because of my heart attack, I am focused on cardio and rebuilding and trying to lose the weight. And he's been patiently going, you didn't do anything this week. Where's this? And what I wanted to speak to is the idea that sustainability is also reframing when and where and how something happens.
Yeah.
Because I might get to what Zane was talking about. I didn't want to do this. I don't have the bodybuilder image of myself that I am, really going to go do a lot. I mean, I have tone and I'm usually pretty happy with the tone.
Yeah.
So what changed for me was the suggestion Stephen made to actually incorporate the resistance training into the walking I was doing, because I was kind of whining that I was look, I'm out there walking 90 minutes a day. I don't have 2 hours to work out, and the workouts were adding on top of this. And so Stephen just said, hey, why don't you take the bands with you? And is there some place along the way you can stop and do this? And we retooled it that way, and now it fits naturally in. I just find a spot, all I need is a place where I can wrap my bands around, and then I just figure out, okay, there's my stopping place, do the resistance work, put it all back in my backpack, and I'm back on the road. So sustainability is adapting to what works for you and not necessarily what you think the image of what's expected of you.
Yeah, there's so many little tend to iceberg things I share versus things I think about. There are more parts to sustainability, like Rob said. So we talked about self-image, shoulds to wants. We talked about the third thing. I don't even remember. No, I'm going to be upset if I don't recall this. But as Rob said, personalizing makes that more sustainable as well. I should have put a shameless plug. Having a coach, someone that keeps pestering you each week, could potentially be helpful for the sustainability too, right? It's easy. Well, I know a few people. There's one guy, I told Zane earlier I kind of got a crush on the guy, but it's
He sounds very special.
yeah. I like him a lot. His name's Steven. He's like bubbly and yellow and bright. But no, so having a coach, someone to kind of remind you of what your intentions are. I'm not a drill sergeant. I just remembered the goal that Rob shared with us about what he really wants to get, where he wants to be, and then just knowing some of the things that we do, and then we can adapt and personalize it to make it make sense. So I'm gonna try to get this third thing. Let's see if we can trigger this. It was we talked about the psycho-cybernetics, changing your self-image, shoulds to wants. No. Oh, it was such a good talk earlier too.
It's being recorded, so
Yeah.
we'll go back and
it
figure it
will
out.
be there.
Yeah, there's so many things. The brain loop's gonna come back. it's always the worst when you have to like do the filing cabinet. I'm gonna get in the car, turn it on, and be like, dang it,
There
that's
it is.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up, I want to kind of go back to where you started and what we were just talking about with Rob, the personalization, and just to the viewer at home or to those of us at the table, the takeaway, right, is not like, oh, I'm a terrible person because I don't do this and I don't do this. The takeaway is like, how do I personalize this for me where I am right now?
And how do you reward it in the moment instead of long-term wait? I got the third thing.
Right, rewards.
Yes, that's right, rewards. I'm all for the rewards. I'm gonna reward myself
Sorry, my
with one
file
of
cabinet was
Mike's
going.
McDonald's burgers after this. So it's really, and I think this is kind of what your whole point is like, take it to where you're at right now, and whether you're spiraling in a downward and you just put a stop to that, or you're kind of in the middle and you kind of could go either direction. Like I could work on getting healthier, or I could just like crash and burn, or you've been doing the thing, you're in fairly good shape, but you need like, you want to take it to the next level. Like really the idea is like, where are you at right now? Evaluate that, and then make a small step in the direction of what you want. Like what is that thing that you want and why? Because like my whole life I've been saying like, oh, I ought to, I should all over myself. But it's like, I don't, it's like, I'm not motivated by the things that most people are motivated by, but what are the things that motivate me? Take that and then, kind of baby step it a little bit from there.
Yeah.
I like that. Heidi, you haven't said anything yet.
I haven't. So, but I was thinking, so about 3 weeks ago, I got sick, and I'm finding out that as I'm older, it's like I can get out of shape so much faster, and then trying to get back in shape, and then I ended up, doing like too much, and so I was like, okay, but I gotta like start working out, but okay, I gotta let my body heal too.
Yeah.
So I started just like right when I get up in the morning and do like 5 push-ups. And so that way it's like that routine is still there, but it's gonna allow my body to like heal itself. And so anyway, I've gone hiking a couple times since then. So
Nice.
and now I'm back. But
Nice.
But yeah, just kind of, and then I felt like I was getting my energy back and just starting my day off with some exercise, even though it was like not a lot, but
Which is a key point. We said like reward yourself in the moment, and I'm going to repeat that so I don't forget it in the file cabinet again. Like you said, like starting the day off, you have more energy. Like it's that reward loop in a quicker fashion, right? We got to get that. But yeah, when you fall off, whether it's for an illness or a trip or something, it's just whether you're starting or restarting, just usually start with half of what you expect to, and just make sure you feel good from it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Mike, you're almost up, not just yet. I want to make sure, because I forgot earlier, we are here at Action Business Furniture. Huge thank you to them for hosting us. And they are doing a chair blowout sale. Like, basically like come in and steal a chair from them. Like maybe it's not that good of a deal, but it is. They have some great deals. They're trying to get rid of chairs, so come down. The more you buy, the better the deal. Like they're very pumped about it. So come say hi to the guys here at Action Business
Deals
Furniture.
to be made.
Deals
Share
to be
today, gone tomorrow.
made. And thanks to everybody here, Lisa, Steven, Zane, Dave, Rob, and Heidi. Thank you guys all for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Sean.
Data Money Mike, take us on out.
And a special thanks to viewers like you. Thank you for tuning in and watching this all the way to the end. I think you learned something today, and that's called value. And because of that, you should like this video. Remember to leave any questions in the comments below, and like your own comments. Please be sure to check out Steven Hicks's website in the link in the video description below. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Awesome. Share this with somebody that needs to see it.
Sharing is caring.